November is finally here, and with great conditions to kick things off, Mike Reed makes his next move on Kelce.
Good morning. November has arrived, and it's a beautiful morning. Ryan and I are back down at the River Bottom Farm. We're in this pond set again, going after Kelce. It's about 39 degrees or so, and we have a south wind. The pressure's on the rise. There's still a little bit of moisture in the air, but it feels pretty good. We've had one buck cruise by so far. It's that same big-browed 8-point. He just came work down the river edge here a few minutes ago. And he's a beautiful deer. I mean, I can't make him older than 3 in my head, so I'm hoping we can keep him around for another couple years. Kelce's still been active on camera. He was on this camera down the lane yesterday evening. And it was actually daylight on the south plot the night after Rye shot his buck at 5:30 p.m. So despite being in there the night before in the morning tracking Rye's buck, he was still right there in the same area. So he seems pretty locked in on this area of the farm, and I think our paths will cross here before too long. Looking forward to our November 1st sit.
While Mike waits to see if his rattling will stir up a river bottom giant, 25 miles to the northwest, Kaleb Greiner has returned to eastern Iowa to resume his quest for Hog Jr. With recent photos of the deer patrolling the property, Kaleb dives into the pinch stand self-filming, hoping to finally lay eyes on the buck.
Sweet November, it's finally here, you guys. It is a calm, crisp morning, and I'm back at the pinch at the new permission farm. I'm in after one deer and one deer only, and that's Hog Jr. I actually encountered him out in this ag field to my northeast. Looks like he was just cruising that waterway and going into the sanctuary part of this timber. But he did show up, finally, a couple days ago on this farm. Pheasant hunting opened up this past weekend, and where I believe he was staying was just a little finger in the middle of a big ag field to my north, about 2 miles away. Had a lot of pictures of him last year, but unfortunately the landowner sold the farm and the current owner deer hunts, so I lost permission on that farm. Next few days, including today, are gonna be mid-70s. Even though it's warmer weather, it's November, rut's kicking in really good. I'm excited I finally laid eyes on this deer this year. It's been a go so far, but just gonna hang tight, and hopefully there's still a little bit more movement left in this morning.
Back on the river farm, the deer are continuing to move.
Just gotta come a little bit farther to the left for me. It might be the turn-in 10. It's about 8:45, and we've seen 6 bucks so far. Had a nice 3-year-old or 2 or 3-year-old just come running to the base of the tree. We've seen some other young bucks chasing does, and then we saw a buck. We haven't really named him. We referred to him as the turn-in 10, but last year he was one of those that we thought he was 3 or 4 years old. And then this year, he didn't change a bit. He looks exactly the same. And he doesn't have like a huge body on him or anything. You know, and so I don't want to shoot him this year. I want to see what he does next year. I did film him in velvet this summer. He's one of the bucks I filmed in velvet. So anyway, it's cool to see him in person. We're in Kelce's circuit for sure. And so it's just a matter of, you know, hoping he swings by while we're here. It's going well so far, though. It's about noon now, and it ended up being a very enjoyable morning. We haven't had much activity here for the last hour and a half or so. And I've got a little bit of work to do, so we're gonna get packed up. I want to make a move back to the South Plot for this afternoon. It's warming up. We're gonna have a lot of hot weather. I mean, we don't have a north wind until next Wednesday, November 9th. So it's gonna be a warm first week in November, but they still gotta do what they gotta do. So we're gonna be in a tree. We'll catch up with you guys this afternoon. We have made the move for the afternoon hunt. After climbing down this morning, a little after noon, we stopped and hung a set for the morning on the north side of the central timber where I shot my buck earlier this year. The cameras would say that Kelce is staying along the river down here. He's not really moving to the north part of the farm like he was in the summer, and so I'm just using that information and staying on this side. It's warmed up quite a bit, as you can see. I've got the t-shirt on. It's like mid-70s right now. It's gonna cool down to the mid-60s by dark. It doesn't feel terrible, but I mean, it's a lot warmer than you'd like it to be. Yesterday afternoon, he was actually on the small peninsula camera like I mentioned this morning, so I don't have a lot of options here for a south wind. There's just a bunch of small trees in the center of this piece of the farm, and I think he's bedding in there. And so I basically have these 3 stands set up now for south winds, and I can keep bouncing around, and I expect we'll cross paths here soon, but I think he's hanging out down here just because there's a ton of does down here. They bed back over my left shoulder around that oxbow pond, oxbow lake, and then they bed in all these small cottonwood maple trees. And of course down on the river. But I sit back and enjoy the afternoon, and hopefully he shows up.
While Mike waits to see the first deer of the afternoon, back in the pinch stand, Kaleb Greiner is continuing his all-day sit.
Well, that's Hog Jr. I was sitting here doing a pan out in front of me and just trying to get some B-roll, and I heard some leaves back behind me. I could tell it was a deer walking. He was the last deer that I expected to be back there. I mean, it's 4 o'clock, it's 75 degrees. It's like deja vu. It's literally deja vu. Last year, after I got done hunting with Lee, I had to pass my target buck. I mean, a solid 170-inch stem point at 15 yards, 20 yards, multiple days in a row. Due to self-filming, and the same thing happened to me today. I mean, by the time I saw this deer, I mean, he was within 40 yards. After he got a little bit past his fence and there was plenty of timber in my way, I elected to snort wheeze, thinking that that might bring him back. But he didn't even face him. He didn't even skip a beat. He kept walking. So that being said, I'm gonna be really aggressive on this deer. There's a lot of other hunters in this area. I'm sure someone else knows about this deer, but the story continues.
Back on the south plot, Mike continues his afternoon.
There's a big thicket right there. They like to be right there. It's the big browed 8-pointer. Yes. that buck seems to be following us around everywhere we go. It's pretty cool to have him come into 15 yards. He's a real pretty buck. Ended up seeing 12 deer for the evening, 4 bucks. That's 12 or 13 bucks for the day. All in all, a good day in the woods. Not a ton of rutting activity. I mean, for November 1st, I would normally expect to see more, but the bucks are out there in the corn feeding with the does. I mean, it just seems a little strange, but I know it's right around the corner, so we're gonna stay after him.
The following day, November 2nd greets Iowa's bow hunters with southeast winds, shifting strategies for the team. Despite having 2 encounters with his top target buck the day before, Kaleb Greiner's pinch stand requires winds out of the west, and though he plans to be aggressive, hunting smart is still the top priority. Back on the river farm, Mike Reed heads to the new stand that he hung the day before, still in the game on Kelce.
Good morning. It is November 2nd. Ryan and I are back down at the River Bottom Farm. It's a little warmer today. It's about 48 degrees or so. I've hunted this tree once before, a couple years ago, and we had the black-eyed tin work down this trail and break that branch off in his antlers that day. This is sort of the north end of where Kelce's really been hanging out a bunch. He seems to be running the river sort of out in front of us, but every now and again he'll swing up this way. We've been bouncing back and forth. The little peninsula is off this way and that south food plot's that way. And we have him on those cameras quite a bit, and then we have him on this camera where I shot my buck early in the year. The buck, we started calling him Poseidon because of that trident-like end to his left beam, but November 2nd, anything could happen. We're gonna sit back and enjoy the morning.
While Mike tucks in for the morning hunt, 180 miles to the east in northern Illinois, team members Jeff and Clayton Wehmhoefer are set up for the morning hunt. Focusing on the presumed core range of a buck known as Second Chance, a name earned after a bow shot by Clayton in 2021.
Right.
Oh, man. Really don't know what to say right now. It happened so quick.
He hopped the fence and shot right underneath him. So all day sits, and then you get your opportunity and you don't slow the game down. So
With consistent photos of the buck all season, hopes are high for an encounter.
Matt.
Smoked him, Jeffrey. Wow. Give me some of that. Yes. Oh, my goodness. Let's go. Oh, my gosh. Well, we just shot our main target buck here at my uncle's property. That's a buck we call Second Chance. And I don't really have much more to say. He got his name because last year, Clayton unfortunately had an encounter and missed a shot. And he showed back up this year pretty early. We've had pictures of him. It's been fairly consistent. And then the last few days, he's been really close to daylight. And I mean, we came in, this is also the stand we call Grandpa's stand, because maybe 20 yards behind me is where he shot his biggest buck. And then 2 years ago, the COVID year, the year he passed away, Clayton actually shot a deer out of this exact stand. Oh my gosh. Let's go.
As Jeff gets down and retrieves his arrow, the blood or lack thereof signifies a different hit than originally believed. After reviewing the footage, the shot is further back, leading to the decision to back out and play it safe. The guys wait until they can get the assistance of a tracking dog, and by nightfall, Jeff recovers the buck, closing the story on second chance.
All right, well, we found him. Obviously, this is way later than what we were expecting, but we ended up getting a buddy. Kaleb brought a dog, and the dog took us right to him, so thankful for that, and we're gonna get him cleaned up, get him out of here, and get some more pictures tomorrow.
A November hunt in Grandpa's stand delivered yet again for the Wehmhoefer brothers, despite the less than ideal conditions. Mike Reed's November 2nd hunt ended with consistent action, seeing plenty of bucks, but his target isn't one of them. Owen Riegler hit the woods targeting the wide 9, but he too experienced an overall slow evening, foreshadowing the trend to follow. Heat plagues the third day of the month, seeing some of our team hit the field, but with minimal action. All eyes shift to the incoming front barreling towards the Midwest. With rain forecasted and cool conditions to follow, the fourth day is a wash. The following day, November 5th, finds all hands on deck as the team hits the field with renewed excitement.
It looks great.
Hey guys, it's the afternoon of November 5th, Saturday. As you can see, it's pretty windy. We just had a front blow through here in Iowa. The sun just peeked out of the clouds. It's been raining for basically the last 24 hours. It's in the 20 mile per hour range right now, but it's gonna die down. And as I mentioned, the sun came out. So with how much rain we've been getting, I expect the deer to move pretty good this afternoon. Kelce was active yesterday midday. I was at work and I checked picks, and he was working a scrape at around 12:45 at a break in the rain. And then last night I had him working this scrape right here. I checked midday today, and he was actually working this scrape on the corner there near the cut corn at 9 p.m., midnight, and then again at like 2 a.m. That leads me to believe he was probably bedded right there with a doe. I mean, to work the same scrape 3 times in a 5-hour period, he probably wasn't very far. I was planning on coming to hunt right here anyway, because I think this is the best spot to catch up with him on a south wind, but it gives me a little bit of excitement that maybe he's bedded not too far with a doe. Often they work back from that corn and bed along the river or in this strip of maples, so he's been active here a lot in the afternoons. Hopefully he follows her out to this green food source where they stage before working their way out to the cut corn. Fingers crossed. Bucks chasing does. They are running everywhere.
As Mike straps in, hoping for another awesome hunt on the failed turnip plot, 140 miles to the southwest, Owen Riegler is making his next play for the wide 9.
Well, here it is, November 5th. Today it's like 45 for high. Might get up to 50, but November 5th, I mean, that's about as good as it gets right here, so. Question is, are we in the right spot tonight? We're hunting that wide 9 buck, and we just gotta pick the right spot, so my strategy for this time of year is to be where the does are at, but I also wanna be on kind of a little pinch, so if there's much movement, hopefully they go right by where you're at. I've got this ditch coming down, a tree line there. We've got a crossing right here. Good crossing. It goes between these beans and this corn over here. So we've got about But 4 hours to set in here, so we'll see what happens. Should be good. That's old sweet November right there. We're just kind of daydreaming. All of a sudden I heard a big old beller. And there he stood on the hill. I thought that was the Wide Nine, the sun shining on him. I thought that was him. I figured out that was Wehmhoefer Jr. Just a nice looking younger buck. But you can tell he's feeling his oats. This cold front moved in. That's what we like to see, so hopefully we're in for a couple more encounters here yet tonight.
As Owen soaks in the November action, back in eastern Iowa, Mike Reed sees the first deer of the evening.
Yeah, just twitched his tail. Now he's walking this direction. Wasn't that far in there. He was. See that kind of white cottonwood? It's not there. He's walking to the left. He's walking to the left. Here's he. There's something behind us. Run that way. Oh, they'll come back and check this one. I don't know where he went. He's gotta be just standing there. Unless he walks straight away from us. Well, what a fun night in the tree. That's encounter number 2 for this year with Kelce. I thought it was going to happen there for a second. When I spotted him, he was coming from the central timber, and the angle he was on looked like he was just walking right on our side of the food plot. We had does there, we had a fawn there, but he ended up turning and walking through that little maple thicket and coming into the food plot the other way. And as he was doing that, we had 2 does and a fawn feeding at 25 yards, and the one doe, they just all ears pointed and were looking back behind us towards the cut corn, and they didn't like something. She started walking back towards the river. And when he came in the plot, he immediately went to check her, and then she just trotted off the back of the plot and he followed her. He just worked his way through there. Closest he got was about 70. It's nice to see him. It's nice to know he's still right there in that area. We waited till well after dark. We had deer in the food plot. We waited till they worked off, got down, snuck out of there, and
We've got that great access ditch, so we can get in and out of there pretty well. Whenever that rain quit and the sun came out, the wind died down, it was, someone turned the light switch on, so it was a really fun afternoon.
Owen Riegler and Mike Reed both experienced great hunts on the afternoon of November 5th, illustrating perfectly how impactful a timely front can be even during the rut. Hoping to experience some magic of his own, team member John Lindstrom is gearing up to hunt an Iowa giant.
Welcome to Midwest Whitetail. Today is November 5th and I'm out on my uncle's farm today. Little different scenario. Today's weather has been on-off rain pretty much all day, so I hunted this area we're going tonight is an area that is a transition between some bedding and some ag fields, and I'm set up on a creek crossing, kind of a natural pinch point for the deer to travel to. I hunted this area yesterday, had a good encounter with a 130 class 9 pointer, came right underneath my stand. I'm about 300 yards south of that now, and I'm going after a buck we call the non-typical. He's got a lot of really cool character points, a buck that we've never really ever seen on the farm, a good size non-typical. So he's our primary target tonight. We're right in his home range. So really hoping we get a good encounter with him tonight. So we're gonna head out here, try to stay as dry as we can, and hopefully get a good encounter and a good hunt tonight.
Oh yes, he's so down. Oh my gosh. Man, geez, that was so awesome. I can't believe I got it all. Kept it together that whole time. He is just a gnarly, cool, non-typical. And I drilled him, and he's down right there. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
Are you gonna still be around tomorrow?
Oh yeah, we'll be here in the morning and everything.
I can take some great harvest photos in the morning if you're free at the farm.
Oh yeah, yep, this guy for sure. So yeah,
right.
Pretty awesome. I'll keep you updated.
Congrats, man.
Yeah, thank you. All right, well, we got him all cleaned up here. Just as you can see, he's an awesome buck with a lot of cool character points. And believe it or not, in the last week, he had broken off
he had 3 additional points coming up off the center here and up. It was an awesome hunt. It's a hunt that I will never forget and is probably always going to be one of the best hunts I'll ever have. We saw this buck coming from a ways away, and I gave him a few grunt calls, and he came through at about 30 yards. Gave me a good shot, shot him, and he ran about 40 and started wobbling, and there he cashed in. So just an awesome hunt, one that I'll never forget. A lot of good activity, and ended with an amazing buck.
He was the last deer that I expected to be back there. I mean, it's 4 o'clock, it's 75 degrees. But I'm gonna be really aggressive on this deer. There's a lot of other hunters in this area. I'm sure someone else knows about this deer, but the story continues.
That's encounter number 2 for this year with Kelce. I thought it was gonna happen there for a second. Whenever that rain quit and the sun came out, the wind died down, it was, I mean, someone turned the light switch on, so it was a really fun afternoon.
Just an awesome hunt. It's a buck I'll probably never get a chance to go after again. I don't think we've ever even seen a non-typical on this farm. A great November hunt with a lot of good activity, and ended with an amazing buck.
Less than 1 week into the month, our appetite for intense rut action is already being satisfied with encounter after encounter. Kaleb Greiner's season-long quest for Hog Jr. has turned from a waiting game into a reality. With 2 encounters in a single day, the chase against the buck's ability to find a hot doe begins. Mike Reed's vision of Kelce running into the failed green plot finally materialized, but with one thing on his mind, the River Farm legend slipped by out of bow range yet again. With plenty of hunts ahead of him, Mike heads back to the drawing board to draft up his next play. All of this excitement is occurring despite the less than ideal conditions that have welcomed rutcations, reaffirming that if you have a tag, the best place to be is out there hunting. Each sunrise is a clean slate that could bring the unexpected with it. Just ask team members Jeff Wehmhoefer and John Lindstrom. This kind of magic is exactly why bow hunters all across the country love this time of the season. Who knows, maybe it will be our chance next. After all, anything is possible when you are chasing November.